So, welcome to week 5 of the weigh-in, where it's a show where we follow the Hot Fishin Points competition and see the movers and shakers in the clubs, the opens, and the majors leagues. I'm joined this week by my regular host, Richard Chapman, who's going to help me look at the results. And we've got a special guest this week. We've got Charlie Law, who is one of the very much the up-and-comers in the sport at the moment. Recently won the Angling Trust Junior Nationals. Already qualified for FishO Mania, so we're going to talk about some of his matches, and he's going to give his insight on some of the venues that he's a regular at. So, Rich, Charlie, welcome to the show.
Hello.
You got it wrong. He's qualified twice for FishO Mania. There can't be many people that have done that, or should have done.
Yeah, that was it. So, by winning the Junior Nationals, right, the winner of that automatically qualified for FishO Mania, but you'd already qualified, right?
Yes.
Start by having a look at the overall table before we start to dig. And nice to see this week that we've got a new person at the top and who's got a ticket. I always like to see.
That's it. You're starting to see quite a few more, especially on that overall leaderboard, aren't you? With tickets on the front page, which makes it a bit more interesting. But yeah, Dave Chapman, who Tunnel Barn Farm regular. What was it? He was fishing. Let me grab his details up while I find the screen. But yeah, Tunnel Barn Farm regular, leading the way with 59 points. Because who was it last week? It was young Harry Campbell, wasn't it? He was...
Harry Campbell, yeah. If you look at Harry, he's dropped down 17, so he had a bit of a stinker last week after being top for 2 weeks. Good, mate.
Yeah, I know Harry quite well. He was doing well at Patches. He won like 6 or 7 on the bounce or something, didn't he? So
yeah,
he was doing well.
That's the thing, isn't it? You sort of, at the moment, you kind of get a feeling that there's going to be a clear leader, a bit of a runaway, but that's a perfect example, dropping, I think he's had one dodgy week at Partridge where he's not scored, like dropping 7. Yeah, so still wide open for everyone. But yeah, Dave Chapman, he won on Housepool. They had a memorial match mystery pairs on there. So he's drawn, I think... You'll probably know better than us on this, Charlie. 4 on Housepool.
Oh yeah.
Is
that was to the right? Yeah.
Yeah, because when you sort of dive into it as well, it sort of peg 4 won the Lakes, 2 was second, 6 was third. So there's obviously a few fish around that area.
Yeah.
But you drawn on there, or is that one you know?
That's where I was in Nationals. I was on 27, which is like next to peg 2.
Oh, so yeah, you're on that bit there.
It's that
so, yeah.
area, that bottom area of the lake.
Yeah, so it's been fishing well around there, but he's done mega off there, £155, 4 ounces to win overall on there. And Christian Jones was second on that same match. Where was he? 19 on extension with £150. So might be the first match he's not won this year.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I give everyone a chance. I think looking at the overall leaderboard as well, where we've seen Harry drop that 17, we see Kristen here who's gone up 14 as well. So that was a nice big bump for him.
That's it. And I think it's probably worth having a look on the biggest matches of the week, because that's a feature that we've not really looked at, is it? On here, where if you go onto the main points and go onto the weekly results, quite an interesting way of finding out sort of the biggest matches this week on sort of numbers wise, because it does come into play on the amount of anglers in the match. So obviously the bigger the matches, there's a bit of a points bonus. So I think this is a good way of highlighting it, where you've got your top 2 scorers on there with 15 and 14 points. We're first and second on it's a Happy League round 5 on the Ayr and Calder Canal. They've got 104 anglers on it. But just want to explain how that bonus point system works for anyone that's not seen it before.
Yeah, so any match that you're in, you get 10 points for winning the match, down to 1 point for 10th position. But we also do a bonus 5 points for winning matches with more than 15 people, because it's harder, obviously, winning a bigger match than it is a smaller one. So how that bonus works is it's a 5% bonus proportional to how many people are in the match. So as I always say, to keep the math simple, if there's 100 people in your match, 5% of 100 is 5. So if you won that match, you get 10 points for winning it, plus 5 extra points, which is your bonus points. So you get 15 overall. So here, as you can imagine, this is such a big match. That's quite a bump that you're getting.
Yeah, so obviously that D. Brettel, who was second, he's actually ended up with more points than Dave Chapman, who's won that 70 peg tunnel, or it probably fractionally more, isn't it? It's not a round number, but keeps him slightly ahead on there. But one thing I did notice on this, and I didn't know this, obviously a lot of the canal matches and the nationals and stuff like that, they always weigh in kilos, which proper confuses me. And I didn't realise you can just click on it and then it changes it to pounds.
You know what? This came from, we scored the Nationals a couple of years back, and I was walking around with them doing the weigh-in, and every person who weighed in kilos said, what's that in pounds? What's that in pounds? Like every single angler that we went to. So yeah, there's a nice feature here that whatever weight it's in, if you click it, it'll change it to the other one for you.
Oh, you get drums and everything.
Drums, look at that.
I needed that on Sunday.
I needed that the other week.
That's the canal matches, right? Like that, they want their drams in there. Like whenever I take this to the commercial fisheries, they're like, who uses drams? And the second a canal angler starts using this, the first message they send to me is, do you have drams on here?
Yeah. Like when you actually see them weighing in with them like beam scales and everything, fair play, that proper, when you see someone who's good at them, they're like proper accurate. But
I don't know how they do it, mate.
I get dead confused. You see them like just changing the weights around and suddenly decide, oh yeah, it's like £15 3 grams. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I've seen on some of the nationals, I can't remember, was it a national? It was some big match where some of the anglers were doing it in kilos and some of them in pounds, and you're getting the weights in different. That's when they don't make your life easier as the scorer.
Yeah, but yeah, obviously makes it nice and easy from anyone looking through. You can work in what you work in. And I suppose going forward as a feature, once you start getting more European matches and stuff, they're going to be probably on the kilo side of things, so you can swap and change easily between them and they know what we're on about and vice versa. So yeah, as you can see, obviously, talking about kilos on the Angling Trust, they've had the Ladies National and the Anglers with Disability Nationals down at Rookery. So Kaylee Dowd won that with £272.40, and that's just fished ridiculous. If you look at like the top three on Magpie, Kaylee with 272, Sarah Taylor second, 248, Chloe Rayner 239, then Abby Kendall's not been far off on Jay, winning that late, 238. So you can see the weights are just ridiculous on there at the moment. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Rookery as a venue has been mega. I know they've got the next round of the UK Champs there as well, so that'll be an interesting one. So plenty going on there. And also got to say, Perry Bloom on the Anglers with Disability National, which was on the same day. He's absolutely destroyed the match, sort of like, 23 kilos clear or something like that. So obliterated that one, £199. Second to young Ethan Etherington, who's always seems to be there or thereabouts in them matches.
Is Rookery a venue you know well, Charlie?
No, I've actually don't. I couldn't even tell you what it is. Is it down south somewhere?
It's not too far from Westwood. It's sort of like that.
Oh, is it? Is it in one of those? Right. No.
Yeah.
No. I only started hearing about it this year, like Rookery.
Yeah, they've had a few more like big matches there this year, and I think, did they have a FishO qualifier there this year, or a Maeva qualifier, one of the two? But yeah, it seems to be springing up. Obviously, that round of UK Champs I've got there as well, so plenty going on there. But it is a mega venue. It'd probably suit you, to be fair. Like most of the state mega. Carpy, like Tom Edwards and that always do dead well there. And so yeah, it's one to watch there. But like proper, seems a lot more carpy than F1y there on most lakes as well. So just draw on a corner and absolutely empty by the looks of things at the moment. Dave Chapman there leading the way. Chris Weeder Senior's not far away either, 57 points. Again, fishing the over 60s at Partridge, like mega turnouts on them, so decent points off there. Keeps plugging away week in, week out. He's probably going to be one that's kicking himself for not having a ticket at the end of it. Mike Senior as well, he's second place with a ticket. Another Partridge regular who's creeping up. He won the Sunday Open, Peg 1 Covey 1. Is that worth drawing, Charlie?
I think it can be. I think Partridge is very wind dominated in it. So I think if wind's blowing down there, or if there's a load of scum there, there's always a few carp on that Covey one, I think. So yeah, it can be good, but it can also not be good.
Yeah. Well, is that probably the lake to be on at the moment, one, or is it still
I
here, there,
think
and
you still
everywhere.
always fancy 5 and 6
Yeah.
if they're in. Obviously, I think 1 to 4, I always prefer being on Covey 1, and then when 5 and 6 are, you want either one of them.
Yeah. It took me ages to.
Rich.
Well, no, I was going to say, it took me ages to work out Covey was actually the collective name for a group of partridges, and that's why it's all called Covey on there.
I didn't even know that.
That's a good fact. I like that, Rich.
There is like some of the late naming. There's some that are dead boring where everyone just goes for like trees and it just gets dead confusing with like willow, oak, and all that. That just gets
Amount of
confusing.
herons around the country are like insane.
Yeah, that it's either birds or trees or something. Decoy's good. Like that's the other lake naming fact. The strip lakes are like damson, elm, cedar, oak, yew, and if you take the first letter, it spells decoy because they've got the 5 strip lakes just in a row.
Dropping the facts today. I like
Someone's put effort into naming them lakes rather than just picking random trees. I like that. But yeah, I'm going off on a tangent here.
tactics, Charlie. If you were fishing partridge this time of year, what's the way to do it?
A safe bet's always fishing like in the mud. If you can get shallow water, there's not a mud line on every peg, but there is on quite a few. So fishing in the shallow water with like ground bait and maggots, you should catch some carp there, both across in the mud and down the edges. And then meat short can work. Now I've not been on for a little bit, so I don't know if it's been working as well as it did when I was on it. But meat really short, just like a top kit of 1 just up the slope. And then maggots are cast as shallow. Now you can fish it to cover or down the middle. Depends really on the weather. If it's flat, calm and bright, I always tend to fish it into cover if I've got some. And then if there's a bit of a ripple on down the middle's always a good bet as well. So it's quite simple. It's just F1 fishing really, and you can target the carp fishing in the shallow water.
Because there seems to be almost 2 approaches there, doesn't there? There's like the bagger approach where it's like nice, calm, catch the bigger fish on the mud line and go down that route, or you go down like the weeder approach where it's just raft it with casters, and if you're gonna catch, you're gonna like empty it and win the match, or you could come last, sort of thing. So yeah, you've definitely got the two sort of different styles on there, haven't you?
You always rock up as well, I think, shallow.
It is a prime venue, isn't it, for like that first hour, especially as you get into the winter as well. It can be moody as anything, can't it? But you've always just got to keep your head a bit and be sensible and not.
They're that big in there as well, the F1s. You can just wait until the last hour and then they rock up. And if you do like £70 in the last hour,
that's the thing, and it's just keeping your head.
Yeah.
When you see so many people just like, oh, we'll fill it in down the edge or something and blow my peg up halfway through the match, rather than just like be sensible. Bagger mentality, innit? Just nice and calm, chilled out.
Let's take a look at the major results, Rich.
That's it. So probably not a lot of movement from last week. Obviously, Jamie Hughes still leading the way. He's had a win on the last round of the UK Champs that's been entered now. If we can grab that one up. Obviously, down at Makins, which is having a bit of a resurgence as a venue. Obviously, new owners, doing loads of work, changing the stocks around and everything. And it seems like one of those venues that's sort of back on the map with lots of big events. I've got various things going on there. But Jamie, I think he's drawn an N peg on 7, which is a lake, not the peg number. It gets very confusing. He's basically mugged all day, £217. Obviously, winning the section was the all-important thing, keeping them 1 points going. I think there's 2 more rounds left. The next one's at Rookery, I think we mentioned earlier. But yeah, other than that, plenty of backup weights. Kind of Tom Calladine, £171 was second, then Tom Scoley, £160. But yeah, for anyone that's not sort of looked at the UK Champs, all based on points, section points, you've got 4 rounds. So that's what everyone's fishing for. Obviously, winning overall, it's a nice bonus. You get a £1,000 checker for each round. So nice little earner, but obviously all important section points keeps Jamie Hughes on 2 points. I know Matty Pilley's in second. He's had another section win with £102. So plenty of people still in the mix. next round at Rookery, and then final round at Boston, which can always throw a spanner or two in the works. I'd be interested to see how that all unfolds. But obviously at the moment, Jamie's leading the charge, and it's one that he's already said that he wants to add to his collection before he has to retire when he's too old.
Is Angling Champs 1 on your radar at all yet, Charlie?
No, I might start doing it in the future, but right now I'm just doing my own thing, concentrating on like qualifiers and just enjoying my fishing really. And then maybe not next year, but the year after, might start thinking about doing something like that, but not right now.
That's it. It's one of those as well. They seem to go for like the proper carpy waters a lot of the time, don't they, rather than the F1 side of things. So, and hell of a lot of travelling as well with that one, because they always seem to do like a north, west, south and east like venues spread around the country. So no matter where you are in the country, you're doing some miles chasing that one. But yeah, so obviously you've got Kieran Marsden in second, 29 points. There's not loads of qualifiers going on sort of back end of the season, so no major movers. Jack O'Sullivan's probably having the biggest jump on that first page, jumping up 16 with a ticket. Whereas he's been on the Maven match this qualifier on Hayfield. He finished 5th overall, so nice, a few extra points for him, jumping him up to 8th overall, but 2nd place with a ticket, which is obviously the important one if you're looking at the prizes. Christian Jones, who was on here couple of weeks ago, 22 points again, so it's dead tight there. One worth shouting out, massive jump, Perry Stone. Obviously he won that qualifier at Hayfield with, what was it, £154, so he's jumped 99 places, and that just sort of proves how wide open it is at the moment. You only need one good result on a big match and you're right up there. Jimmy Brooks, another one, 106 place jump. I think that's probably the UK champs and FishO coming into play as well. Brad Lucas not far behind on 20 points, so they're still fairly early in the season, aren't we? Week 5 of 13.
Do you know how this works, Charlie, with the tickets and no tickets?
A little bit, yeah.
So what we do is, like, so long as a match is scored on here on the Hot Fishing platform, we put all the results together into one big table, because we're trying to create like a national ranking. Like every other sport has a national ranking apart from fishing. So as long as it's scored on the platform, you can see your results in here for free to see how you're doing. But what people can do is, if they want, they can buy a ticket. And if you buy a ticket, you qualify for prizes. And it's the highest ranking anglers with tickets that get prizes. So we're paying out the top 7 in the majors. And you can see here, out the top 20, we're only paying out 4 of those prizes. So Jamie looks like he's going to be running away with the money.
I suppose for everyone chasing qualifiers and stuff, it just gives you something else to fish for, doesn't it? Especially if you're not drawing an absolute screamer that you're like, I'm going to win the match off. It's still worth going to your peg, worth fishing and trying to get a few points and work towards that.
Yeah, you're in the matches anyway. And for 30 quid, if you can win a 700 quid on top of that, just by turning up anyway and finishing 5th in every one of your matches, like it's worth doing. I think I mentioned last time, that's exactly what Art did. Art Hilmy, who won the majors last season, he was very aware of this, and even when knew he wasn't going to win, was just kind of continued fishing to the end, and he's one that didn't finish top, but was a top with a ticket and walked away with the money.
Still wide open on the major side of things. Plenty of names as you scroll down the leaderboard that can jump up, so it'll be interesting to see how that develops. What are you doing with the finals as well? Do they count towards the major points as well?
Yes. So as it stands this season, the final would just be classed as another major match. Maybe in the future we do different points for that. We bump them up or whatever. But I guess we just, when there's more interest in this, then we'll start to kind of tweak those rules. But for now, to keep it easy, it's just going to be another major, because then it's the whole hornet's nest of how do I score that separately without making everyone moan. What are your thoughts on that?
It sort of feels like there should be some sort of bonus on the actual final, if you almost double points or something like that. Obviously, if you've qualified and then gone on to win a final, it feels like there should be some sort of bonus or incentive, but it's working out how to do it without just destroying the points.
Yeah, I guess we could just pay out top 10, but top 10, but just double the points for the final. Because you're right, if you qualified in the first qualifier and you're not getting your points for the rest of the season, you at least want to be able to make that up towards the end.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on that, Charlie?
No, I think I think you need some sort of bonus in the final because obviously you made the final, and maybe just do top 10 and just double the points. But I don't know. I think you just have to play about with it.
Yeah, exactly. There's loads of ways that we can experiment with it to make it work.
Well, obviously that's all going to come into play over the next month or two, isn't it? You've got FishO in 2 weeks, is it? Week and a half. So, and then Match This and Golden Reel and all that.
Will you be there, Rich, at the final?
I've got to sit behind Jamie again, so hopefully he does a better job than last year. Kind of ran out. It was like a nice first hour and had a few bits to do, and then didn't really have a lot to do after that. So see what happens on there. You've not been up there yet, have you, Charlie? Or
no, this weekend is my first trip up. We'll see how it goes.
So, you've been speaking to many people who've been going down, or?
No, I know a few people like Johnny Jow. He knows the place quite well, so I feel like I'm in good hands. But yeah, well, I think it's different on the day anyway. So I don't want to go and have a mindset of this is what I'm going to do, and then on the day, I think because of the crowd and everything, I do think it changes it a little bit.
Yeah, you want to draw that like little point bit where they've got no spectators or anything. You're like on your own out of the
wind
way.
Blowing in. Nice.
That's the one, isn't it? But
Westwood are diligent users of Hot Fishing for all their matches. So from a research perspective, if you click onto their profile on Hot Fishing, you'll be able to see all the matches from the last 12 months.
Yeah, most of which Christian Jones seems to have won recently.
Yeah.
He's been, at the moment, looking at results and stuff, he's got to be odds-on favourite if he carries on how he's fishing at the moment. So, yeah, be an interesting one to see if he can make it back-to-back victories.
All right, guys, should we take a look at the Open League now?
That's it. So, obviously, a lot of these have been featuring on the overall. Chris Weeder, Senior, leading the way, and already spoke about a few of those, but I think Mike Senior's leading the way actually with a ticket. Probably quite good to see on the open side, a lot more tickets sold on that first page as well. And who've we got? Ryan Lidgard in second on the tickets. He's been down Westwood quite a bit, doing really well down there. Quite a few seconds, I think. Catching some big weights, but yeah, you look down the leaderboard, you're seeing a lot of the same names, aren't you, that were kind of up there last season, sort of focusing on one or two waters. Westwood, Partridge, Western Pool's another one. Them sort of venues where you got people going week in, week out, knowing the place, the venue experts. That seems to be the way to go at the moment, especially with the open side, to get sort of consistent points, doesn't it?
Exactly, and that's why I'm glad we split out the results like this. So the Open seems to be like, it's the battle of the venues, right? Which is why I hope the venues get behind this a little bit more, because I think it's a nice bit of shine for your anglers. And I think, imagine we had all the top venues on here. I think this would be really, really interesting to have a look at. But because these guys go in week in and week out, it's different fishing to the majors, right? So to have them split out, I think it's not only letting the anglers of the similar standard compete against each other, it's the style of fishing and the regularity as well. So I think it makes it a little more fair.
So yeah, as you can see, loads of people still well in the mix, sort of anywhere between sort of 40 and 57 points. Chris Weeder Senior got a couple of points advantage, but as you've seen in the other leagues, that can be made up or taken away from you with one or two good matches in a week. But yeah, around that sort of 43 to 48 point mark, you've got loads of anglers, a lot of names that we saw last year. Sort of Richard Kerridge, he's down at Westwood a lot. Roy Bradburn was up there. Pete Archer, I think we mentioned him last week. Nice to see kind of a few of the more southern lads getting involved, a few more venues around there scoring with it. John Birchall, obviously at, I forgot, Packington. He's up there as well. Starting to see quite a few of the Packington lads sort of up there and thereabouts, aren't they? seem to be having a decent run up there, obviously scoring using the system, and start seeing them popping up on the results. But yeah, plenty of people well in the mix. You can see even down to like 34th, you got Christian, who was there, Richard Kings, who was obviously right up there in the mix, battling out with Rich Kinnersley last season as well. So plenty of those lot all in the mix, and it's just going to see how it settles down over the coming weeks. And is it week 9 or 10 that's going to be the interesting one, where your sort of droppers come into play?
Exactly. So yeah, so it's 13-week season, week 10 when the droppers come in. So yeah, it's much more interesting. But it's nice to see after 5 weeks, it's still wide open, right? Like anybody can still win this. Like we've seen with young Harry Campbell, top of the league twice and dropped that at a couple of stinkers, and that can happen to anyone, right?
Yeah, definitely. And it's always rewarding that consistency, and it's trying to make them the bad result be sort of maybe a fifth in the match and getting a few points rather than totally blowing out. And I think that's probably where it comes back to how you fish in your matches. If you're going out specifically thinking, I might set up a little silvers line or something like that just to tick me over, where you know you're not going to win the match from there, but just try and maximise your peg rather than thinking, I'm going to attack it, I'm either going to win the match or come last, and it can backfire if you're looking at it from a points point of view. So it's probably same sort of thing as like your qualifier mentality versus your team fishing mentality.
Mm-hmm. And Charlie, what are your thoughts on this to kind of tip this over the edge, to kind of get the awareness out there? Do you think it's just education? Do you think it's bigger prizes? Like, if they're kind of anglers that you fish with, what are your thoughts?
I think it just needs time. I think it's the right way to go about fishing, to bring prizes just by just fishing a normal match. Mm-hmm. It's good that just one result a week counts.
Yes.
So it's fair. So it's not like if someone fished 5 matches a week, they get more points than you. I think it just needs time. I think over time, more people buy tickets, and obviously it'll get bigger and bigger. Mm-hmm. But yeah,
the big thing as well is getting the organisers involved. Like, I think the anglers now are coming out the woodwork. I get so many messages every week of anglers wanting to be part of this, and so I always am like, it's the me calling the venue is one thing, but the anglers telling the organisers they want to use this. You guys give them money, so they have way more leverage than me. So yeah, I think if we can get all the venues on this, then it becomes really exciting. We mentioned this last week, like we can have like venue top rod playoffs. There's so many cool things that we can do once we get all the venues on here. And as you say, Charlie, it's just going to take a bit of time.
I think that was one of the discussions. I don't know if it was on camera last week, where what would you prefer to see, Charlie, from sort of your point of view? The system as it is, where you buy your ticket and you just win your prize for where you finish, or more of a sort of qualifier where your top 20 people who brought a ticket might go through to fish a final for the money and go through that route? I
think I'd rather do it where you buy your ticket and how it is now, because there's so many of them matches now where it's like the FA matches. That's like a knockout round. I think there's too many of them. Not too many, but there's enough of them. This is something completely different, where you're just fishing a normal match, whether it's club match, open match, majors or whatever, and you can still get prizes for fishing. And it just gives another aspect of winning money through something that you don't need to put a lot of effort in. You're just fishing normally.
And I think as well, it's a truer reflection of your season, right? It's about your consistency across the season. I was speaking to who was it? Emily Mather was messaging me the other day, like about this and likes a platform, because she was like exactly that. She's like, I think talking about the junior the ladies nationals, how didn't do great in that, but still coming 6th or whatever it was, is still a great result. And when you put that with the others, it's a true reflection of the season. And I think I probably need to communicate that a bit better.
Yeah, definitely. It's just that consistency, and we've seen people picking up prizes, even winning it without winning a single match. So just being consistent, framing throughout the course of a season, that pays off, rather than having 1 or 2 matches where you've absolutely taken the pee and won by £100, but then your other matches you've totally blown out. So it's just different way of fishing, different mentality, and I suppose it's better for your fishing overall, where you sort of go into a peg and no matter where you draw, you're trying to make the most out of it rather than packing up early and sulking off to the pub.
Let's take a look at the club leagues now.
So obviously Dave Chapman mentioned him before on the overall. He's leading the club as well. So that good to see that he's got a ticket, because you get prizes for both, don't you? So he'll be in position for winning the prizes, winning the club and the overall, isn't there? There's like a little bonus for the overall.
Yeah, so we give out more prizes on the category. So we're paying out the top 10 clubs, the top 10 opens, and then we're just paying out the winner on the overall. So yeah, so Dave, at this point, I quite like to see that it's a club angler who's top of the whole country as well. It's quite nice to see.
That's it. But you do notice as well, it's like, it's nice to see the random mix of venues and stuff like that. I think we touched on it last week, where you've got sort of even Isle of Wight Freshwater Angling Association getting involved. So it's venues most people won't ever have heard of, won't ever have gone to. I did end up having a quick look at that, and it's like proper like old school club looking lake as well. So one of those where you join the club, then you can fish the matches off the back of it. Stephen Curtis is in second place, 44 points. Again, looks like a big jump at the moment, but you're going to need one bad week for Dave, who's leading the way at Tunnel. And the size of the matches they're fishing there, I think he's on the over 50s, over 60s, is it, that are there? But big matches as well, so it almost puts more risk on the match as well at the same time, where if you're fishing a 60 pegger, you can quite easily finish 30th and come absolutely nowhere. So it'd be interesting to see how that one plays out through the course of the season.
I'd like to see some of the Grammy anglers in here soon, Charlie. I know that.
I need to tell them to up the game.
But Lee, I know, scores these matches on here.
I know, I don't know what they're doing.
We just need to start to see some of them up here, yeah.
I suppose like the more level the standard is in the club, the harder it makes it for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
So because you can have different people winning week in, week out, as opposed to some of these clubs, you've always got the couple of standout anglers that you'll see on here. Some of them will be winning pretty much every single match in the club. But if you sort of scroll down further on the club league, you've got around that sort of 33 to 39 points mark. You've got so many anglers there, literally give it a week or so, they could be sort of up, down 20 places. You can see Mark Smith there jumping up 22. David Lewis has obviously had a bit of a tougher week down in Essex, dropping 12 points. So you've got loads of movements on there. And what are we paying out on the clubs? Top 700 again.
Then 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then I think positions 8, 9, and 10 all get 200. So for a 30 quid ticket, in matches that you're already in, especially on a club level, as we said before, I think it's quite a nice payout.
Yeah, it's a nice one as well, isn't it? Obviously, club matches typically aren't going to be massive payouts on the actual club. Generally, a bit more friendly, a bit more light-hearted. So you might not be winning loads of money, but those that sort of want to take their fishing a little bit more seriously, but don't feel they're ready for open matches, qualifiers, all that sort of thing. It's a nice way to give yourself something to aim for, keep track of yourself during the course of a season, win a few more quid in the process, but you're still fishing the same matches. So it's like, for that, there's going to be a lot of people, I think, that are at that decent club level, maybe thinking about opens but not feeling quite ready for it. It's a great sort of mid-ground to say, right, this season I'm going to focus on this, see where I can do on sort of a national club level, track your results through the season, and then maybe that's your, oh well, I've done dead well here, maybe I should start fishing a few opens and doing this, been nice and consistent. So from that side of things, it's...
And that's why I added in that rank change each week, because I want anglers to just, even if you're not part of the competition and just following it for fun, you can see, am I getting better each week? Should I start stepping up? I think the other feature as well that I think is quite nice is on the main table, if you click show filters and you filter by organizer here, you can find your organizer. So let's find Ramsbottom and click filter. And what that will show you is of the anglers, any of the anglers that have fished in your matches, where are they ranking? Where are you ranking against each other, and where are you ranking nationally as well? So I think if you're one of the organisers, the anglers love that, to just share that with them. It's just a bit, it could just be a bit of fun and banter between you all. But there's like no loads of little nice kind of cool features that you can use that for.
Yeah, and find out who's the worst angler in the club as well, and absolutely abuse them. So, but no, it's all good information, isn't it? And it's obviously I think we're still at the point in the season where it's all a bit up and down, and you get your big swings. But then as you get through the season, like further down the line, it starts to settle down. You start to see the results.
Exactly, and I'm hoping that the anglers that are seeing this, that would love to be part of it or part of the show, whatever, start talking to your organisers about it. Do you know what I mean? This works when everybody's using it. The infrastructure's here now. I think anybody that comes on the show that we talk about it likes it. I think the future of fishing needs it if we want a sport in 20 years' time. If we want to bring in this big outside sponsorship that people want, like we've now got the infrastructure for it. We just need the organisers to start using it. So anyone that's watching this, it's free for them to use. Get them on board. And yeah, let's start to create some really big events within the sport.
Yeah, I think that's the important one, isn't it? Is obviously we're talking about the point side here, where you can pay for a ticket to get involved, but purely from a scoring it or looking at your results and all of that side, absolutely free. If you're fishing the venues that are already using it, you'll be added. You can claim your account and just keep track of everything. But yeah, so if you don't want to pay, you don't have to pay. And there's not many things in life that are actually free. But there we go.
We're absolutely trying to promote the sport first. This is just a bit of fun on the side. Brilliant. Rich, Charlie, thank you both for your time this week.